Tatewaki Ichika is the wife of Tatewaki Masato. She has a demure appearance. Masato is rightfully proud to have married her. Although they have been married for some years, their lifestyle is as passionate as when they were newlyweds. One day, Masato receives an envelope containing a DVD entitled The Truth About Itsuki Ichika. Masato plays the DVD. He watches as the young Ichika's stuff is stolen by Otaku Yamazaki. During this act, random passerby Sasaki appears. Ichika implores him for help, but instead, Sasaki also did the thing. As Masato watches the video, he discovers that his excitement increases. Kensuke and Ayumu have known each other since childhood. It wasn't until recently that they realized that they had feelings for each other that were much more than friends. While working in a PC software company as a salesman, Kensuke was told to work at another branch due to a shortage of manpower. The big catch here is that he won't be able to live at his apartment anymore so that he can easily commute to his new job. That being said, he won't be able to see Ayumu for a very long time, but she's been sweet enough to watch over his apartment while he's gone. Well, you know what they say about long-distance relationships. After a good amount of time has passed, Kensuke is in a mixture of loneliness and paranoia. He's missing Ayumu, but also doubting why a woman like her would stick around for a guy like him. Unemployed and depressed, Suzumura Kenta moves back into his family's house. One day, Kenta's brother, recently married, returns home with his newlywed wife, Alyssa. Surprisingly, she is a foreigner. With white skin and bright blonde hair, her body steals Kenta's gaze. "Hello, I'm Alyssa." She gives Kenta a warm smile. One day, Kenta's brother is suddenly called away on a long business trip. Unsuspecting and utterly lacking in foresight, Kenta's brother leaves the lecherous and manipulative Kenta alone with Alyssa for the duration of his prolonged absence. Akagi, a reserved young teacher, finds his life turned upside down after a heated argument with his girlfriend, Ikumi. Their tension runs deeper as they navigate their shared lives as colleagues at the same school. One evening, an unsettling discovery sparks curiosity and dread in Akagi's mind. While scrolling aimlessly, Akagi stumbles upon a shocking video tied to an exclusive, secretive club. To his horror, the footage seemingly reveals a masked performer resembling Ikumi. Consumed by doubts and questions, he determines to investigate the truth himself. Inside the shrouded club, dim lights and masked faces create an eerie allure. On stage, the star commands the room.
Since her daughter Hazuki was born, she hasn't played with her husband, and due to her husband and daughter getting along too well, she has lost her place in her family. At that moment, the old man next door set his sights on her. She's emotionally weak and, as a result, is easily taken advantage of. One night, Kasumi was sleeping next to her husband and daughter. She heard a strange sound and opens her eyes, and this was the first time she saw Hazuki playing with her dad. One day she was going to her parents' house, and then she realizes what was going on. She leaves the house and closes the door. She's greeted by an old man who also happens to be her neighbor. He showed her the photos of her husband and daughter playing together, and her eyes were wide open in shock. This is story of Yumiko Kimura, a lonely housewife who was ignored by her own husband. Her husband always goes on a business trip during Obon and the end of the year. They have been married for 5 years, but there was no action these days. She thinks her husband had no interest in her. As she was cleaning his room, her breath becomes erratic as she started to do the thing. As she was lost, doing her thing, someone knocked the door and it was the neighbor. After this, we all know what's gonna happen. As her husband was leaving for the trip tomorrow, she wanted to have some action that night, but he refused. And this is how she ended up with the neighbor. At first, they only met when her husband was in a business trip, but it became more and more.
The action of this story takes place at a time when Makoto was a college student and was preparing to graduate. The main character of the story is Yurina Suzukaze, a married woman who worked at this university as an art teacher. Sakakura has long shown a romantic interest in Yurina, and Yasuno devises a plan to subjugate her. Later, Sakakura offers Yurina tea, and when she drinks it, She feels sick and passes out.
On the edge of the known world lies a small, enigmatic village, a place shaped not by human hands but by ancient, elusive magic. The air is thick with mystery, and shadows seem alive, whispering secrets of times long past. Here, the boundary between reality and the supernatural blurs, drawing in only the most curious of seekers. Among the villagers, Rui-san stands as a guardian of arcane knowledge. He practices a unique, almost ethereal recovery technique, channeling a shimmering magic that flows through his very being. As it spreads within him, an extraordinary transformation begins. Wounds heal, pain dissolves, and
This is story of Kinosaki Mao, who lost his mother in middle school. He's lived with his father, Hajime, ever since. As soon as Mao got into college, his father suddenly leaves him behind with only a note telling Mao not to worry. 4 years later, Mao is soon to graduate from college, but his mother's death still weighs heavily on him. The feelings he's suppressing manifest themselves in the form of gynophobia, which refers to the fear of women. Then, one day, his father returns home, remarried to Arima Shiori, a woman of perfect looks and character. Shiori is the very definition of a perfect mother. Having a mother in his life is a new and sudden thing for Mao, and he is bewildered. Shiori embraces Mao with sincere love and kindness that comes so naturally to her. A night of reckoning. Tonight, Yuri steps into a world from her past, a reunion party brimming with old classmates and shared histories. Before leaving, she made a solemn promise to her husband, Noriyuki. She would avoid any entanglements with the drunken chaos the night might bring. Among the faces in the crowd, she sees him, Takeuchi, the carefree blonde, still larger than life, still donning the mask of a hero. Once her close friend, now a stranger shrouded in reckless bravado, Yuri's heart stirs with unease as she notices the cracks obvious in his facade. "Takuchi," she says softly, "you're not yourself. You've had enough. Let me help you." A bond long buried begins to flicker once more. Twisted bonds and shadows. Sawaki Sensei. Every student's ideal teacher, warm and dependable. But hidden beneath his kind smile lies a darkness that only reveals itself when we're alone. Those gentle eyes become piercing, his words unsettling. My boyfriend, Tatsuki, the flawless, elite student council officer, trusts me completely. I vowed to never taint his shining image. But when Sawaki-sensei cornered me, presenting damning photos of Tatsuki, I had no choice, trapped for the sake of the one I love. What terrifies me the most isn't his manipulation. It's the warmth I feel when he whispers, "This is for Tatsuki's sake. You're doing nothing wrong."